Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of Aman's story. If you haven't watched part 1, this is your moment to pause and go back and enjoy that other interview. Okay? I'm telling you, you do not want to miss it. In part 2, we are going to explore Aman coming out to his traditional Indian parents and how they handle it and some of the conversations that happen. Aman talks to us about the LGBTQ plus community in India and how his mother was brought up to perceive the community. Aman also opens up about some of the major struggles that he's had, so you don't want to miss it. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave us a beautiful comment showing some love and support, or if this story has resonated with you. Okay, buckle your seatbelts because it's about to get juicy. Coming out to your parents, what was that like?
I had come out to all my friends. I had come out to my brother. He took it really well. And then I was like, okay, well, I should tell my parents now since I'm telling all my friends and like bits of family, because the last thing I want is my parents to find out from another source.
100%.
About a year and a half ago. I was there for like a week and I was like, I'm gonna tell them the day before I take back off and go back to...
Smart strategy.
Go back to school. Being like a closeted gay guy, you're also like concerned, like my parents are supporting me through school. Are they gonna just completely disown me? Like, is my relationship with my parents gonna change? So there were so many things going through my mind. I was like, I owe them at least like an actual coming out. I told them, it was literally just a, hey, can you sit down? I kind of want to talk to you about something.
Make sure you're sitting.
And I was just like, hey, this is really hard for me to do. I don't know how to word this, but I just wanted to tell you. And then I like paused for a really long time and I was just like, I'm gay. And I just remember looking down at the carpet and like not looking directly at them. And I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna wait till they make a sound.
It was silent?
They were silent. My mom was the first one to say something and she said, no, I don't believe you.
Whoa.
And I was like, what do you mean you don't believe me? Like,
why would I go through all of this?
Right. And I think maybe she thought I was going through a phase, or I think she was just crossing her fingers that I was going through a phase.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is who I am. And she was like, but what about your previous girlfriends? And I was just like, well, that wasn't who I am. This is who I am. And my dad was the sweetest, and he was just like, well, as long as you're happy and healthy, like that's all that matters. That's all I needed them to say. Like I didn't need to have like, you know, a whole dramatic spiel.
Were you hurt by what your mom said?
Yes and no. No, I wasn't hurt by it because I kind of expected it. Yeah. Like she didn't chuck her flip-flops at me. So I was like kind of relieved that at least her reaction was like a soft verbal one rather than like chase me down the street. Like my mom's really dramatic. I'm really dramatic and I get it from my mom. So like she's like me times 10.
Yeah.
So she stayed seated, which I appreciated. Yeah. She was just trying to process it and I could see her trying to process it. Yeah. And it wasn't clicking right away for her. Like she would ask me questions like, well, are you going to get married? Yeah. Like, does that mean you're not going to get married? You're not going to have kids? I mean, they're like old school Indian parents. So like to them, it's like a marriage is between a man and a woman and then you have a kid. They didn't quite grasp like, no, I can still get married to a guy and I can still have kids.
Totally.
We had that conversation. There were some tears and then we kind of both went our separate ways for the day and let it sink in. And then the next day I was leaving, so she had no choice but to be nice to me. Yeah. No, but she like hugged me goodbye and said I love you, and we didn't really talk for a good week, 2 weeks, until she started talking to me again. And then things
you just
slowly
gave that space too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, she raised me for 25 years and she had her own image of what my like wedding was gonna be like. Yeah, like, you know, settling down, like having a daughter-in-law come home, having kids and grandkids, and so she already envisioned a lot of that in her head. So for me to like after 25 years to shake all of that up, like was big, especially when like cousins my age are getting married and like, you know, and there's like that pressure from like not only my parents to me, but from like my extended family and elders to my parents. Like, yo, your kid is getting older. He's almost a doctor. He's almost like settled. Like, when is he getting married? When is he getting married? Like, should I send over proposals for him? Like, you know, like things like that. So they also have to deal with their own pressures.
Yeah, totally.
Of being in an Indian society. So I gave them their space, and now we're fine. Like, now we kind of
talk about it.
We don't talk about it.
No.
So I guess we're not like completely fine.
Have you tried to talk about it?
Yes and no. I haven't been back a whole lot. I just found out the other day she knew I had a boyfriend. Which I was like, I didn't tell her about my boyfriend. I introduced him as a roommate. But she kind of connected the dots on her own.
Mom is doing some stalking back there.
Yeah, and she like, I just found out through like somebody else that she knew I had a boyfriend, and she even knew when I broke up with him. So I was just like, how did you know this? And I was like, oh, and she didn't bring it up or anything. So I kind of just let her, like, you know. But I haven't really had extensive convos with her.
Yeah.
But I plan to.
Yeah.
Slowly. I think she's finally at like that tolerant stage. She's not fully at like the acceptance stage.
Can we talk about LGBTQ and India and maybe some of the like things that your mom has just witnessed or been heard of in the past?
For those of you who don't know, LGBTQ community in India is like very hush underground. It's almost like a gay mafia. They have clubs and bars, but it's very like secretive, and it's like word of mouth only, and like they can't publicize it because the police would show up, they would get beat, just like very cruel things. So that's why when I came out to her, she automatically associated it with the culture she grew up in. She was not well versed with like, hey, you can be gay, you can be bi, you can be lesbian, you can be transgender, you can be fluid, you can be pan, you could be like, you know, all these things. To her, she kind of just loops it all into one. In a sense, it's ignorance, but she didn't have like somebody to educate her on all the different, you know, ways you can live your life. So she kind of associated with being transgender. So the only experiences she had while growing up was of like openly transgender communities in India, which are very well known actually. It's positive and negative. Well, no, it's negative. Because they like the transgender communities in India are known to hold special powers. They say if a transgender person curses you in India, it's like bad luck for the rest of your life.
Wow.
So people would have like weddings, and these transgender communities, which would be very poor and would not like, you know, have, because they can't get jobs, they're not acknowledged as their sex, they're not acknowledged as their like for their like government ID names. It's just like very hard to be a part of society that's functioning. Yeah. They would show up at weddings and they would ask for money in exchange for a blessing for the couple. And so these families would give them the money because it's like, okay, if we don't have their blessing, then they're going to curse us. And if they curse us, that curse is going to come true because they're an evil spirit. And so it's like, that's how they would predominantly get by, these transgender communities in India. So that's like the thought my mom grew up with. Like that's the only correlation she had with the LGBTQI community.
So it always had like a negative link to it.
It always had a negative link. And even now, it's like when a transgender person in India dies, it's like they beat the body very publicly. And it's sad because the members of the transgender community also contribute in beating the body publicly. So like that evil spirit doesn't inhabit another host.
Wow. And would that happen to like just gay and lesbian people too, or anybody in the LGBTQ community?
I'm not sure as in like after they die if they beat the body, but I know it's happened in transgender communities. Yeah. Like gay guys in India are very just like hush hush. Secretive, it's very secretive. They're most of them are married, live a closeted life. Now it's changing. Like in urban India, I feel like
big cities and stuff.
Definitely not tolerance, definitely not acceptance, but there's more and more people that are like
vocal.
Yeah, that are starting to get vocal, and there's more activism going on now, which is nice to see.
That's tough. I can see your mom completely just being scared for also how the community is going to view the family and you, especially if everybody thinks that way too about LGBTQ people. Yeah. So that must be hard.
Yeah. That's why I didn't like blame her for
Does she
reaction.
Does anybody like that are friends with your family and stuff know?
Yes and no. I feel like I told people who mattered to me because I wanted them to know that I wasn't living my authentic life while I was around them. And that I tended to, and that was like my only reason for coming out. I feel like I don't really owe other people I don't really hang out with on the daily an explanation, because it's like, why do I need to come out to you? Like, I don't remember you coming out to me telling me you were straight. So so yeah.
No, I completely agree. Got a lot of work to do in this world. You live in one of the most major cities in the world.
New York.
Have you ever faced, within the LGBTQ community, being a person of color, any discrimination?
I have been lucky so far.
Yeah.
I also think that I'm just like very new still. It's only been a year and a half since I've been living there.
Okay.
So I don't consider myself like super integrated within that community yet. But there is discrimination everywhere. Like, there's discrimination if you're Black, there's discrimination if you're Latino, if you're a person of like any person of color, if you're like too flamboyant, if you're a bottom versus if you're a top. And I don't think that's just like specific to New York. I think that's just in the community in general. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done within the community, because we ask for acceptance from external communities and like the rest of the world, but where I feel like we also struggle to kind of accept different parts of us.
I completely agree. And there's so much judgment and drama, unnecessary drama that we don't need as a community that needs to be like feel accepted by everybody. Throughout your journey and everything that you've been through in your life, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned and lived by?
The biggest thing I've learned in life is to always get back up.
I love that.
Yeah. You know, just financially, like personally, mentally, like we always get kicked down, and that's just a part of life. And I think the people who are successful are people who know how to get back up after they fall down. Yeah. And you can take your time getting back up. You can take all the time you need, but as long as you get back up and keep going, I think that's super important.
Wow, I love that.
I'm Oprah.
Yeah. I'm so privileged. What would you say to your younger self?
Those bangs are not cute.
Yeah.
I would say continue to always have your head in the clouds.
Love that.
In high school, when I would get bullied, I would always be like, one day I'm gonna move to New York and I'm gonna be a doctor and I'm gonna have a sports car and I'm gonna like live my best life. And everybody would always laugh at me. And I'd be like, no, like if like Rachel and Friends can do it, I can do it.
I got it.
I always dreamt big, I think, as a little kid. And that was really important to me. As I got older, my dreams only got bigger. People will always tell you to like be more realistic and like dream small. But I feel like, again, life is too short. And so I would tell my younger self to continue to dream big, bigger if possible. Because now I look back and it's like all those bullies that made fun of me are in the exact same spot as they were. And I'm actually out here living my true life.
And you're in New York with a sports car. Bam!
And it's pink.
And it's pink. I love that. You know, keep dreaming big. And honestly, it's the more you travel, the more experiences you have in life, the more you understand that the world is huge and you can do whatever you want to achieve whatever you want.
You're right. Yeah, the opportunities are really endless.
100%.
Yeah.
You have to create them for yourself too. When you're going through hard times in life, how do you take care of your mental health?
Personally, the gym is like my go-to.
Yeah.
Some form of exercise just makes me feel really good. I don't know if it's just like the endorphin rush or like that feeling of, hey, I'm contributing to my body in a positive way.
Perfect. Love it. I am a big believer in that too. The gym or just a run or some way of sweating helps me just like completely change my mood around.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite quote?
Oh, this is gonna be so cheesy. This is like straight out of my high school yearbook. It's "This shall too pass."
Okay.
Oh, this too shall pass. Sorry, I like fucked up my favorite quote.
I was literally thinking, oh, I haven't heard that one. I've heard that one, but why does it resonate with you so much?
Because I feel like there's so many instances as a teenager, you're just like down in the dumps. Even as an adult, like life doesn't go your way. It's so easy to just get stuck. and it's just like get down about it.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind like life goes on. Like tomorrow's a brand new day. You can like always, you know, you can always get out of whatever you're feeling.
100%. I actually think that's a very powerful quote. It's pretty much just saying, you know, like whatever you're going through in life, it's temporary.
Right.
It'll pass.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. What do you think are the next steps for inclusion in the LGBTQ plus community?
I think we are, as a whole, are doing a pretty decent job at like getting to tolerance. I don't think we've reached acceptance yet. To me, acceptance is like equal representation in like mainstream media. Members of the LGBT community still get paid significantly less than non-members. We don't have as the same rights as you know, people who aren't. So it's just like, okay, now we're like more so tolerant. So what about acceptance? Like, you know, like why are we still have these like old stupid laws that literally discriminate based on sexual orientation? Like there's so much more to a person than you know. I
think it's crazy because it bothers me so much because I feel like those laws are in place like if people from the community are criminals, you know? And it's just like what are they doing to you? How are they those laws being passed against someone that's literally just trying to live their authentic truth?
Right. So you can literally murder someone, go to jail, come out, get married wherever you can get married. You can vote for your president, but me, just because I'm gay, I can't do any of those things. That really bothers me.
I completely agree. We're getting there, but that's also in bigger countries and cities too. There's so much work to be done all over the world.
Yeah.
What is one last message you want to say to anybody that's watching?
I would say to not judge a book by its cover. I think there's this stigma of what it is to be gay, and I don't think that perspective is how you should judge people. I think being gay or being lesbian or being transgender can look like anything, what it looks like to you personally as an individual. You can be feminine, you can be masculine, you can be in between, you can have a great fashion sense, you can not give two shits about what you wear, you can go to the gym and work out, you can be a bigger person. I feel like there's this cliche gay guy in everyone's mind, and it's like the stereotypical white, great at fashion, fit. And it's like, no, you can be a person of color and, have tattoos and like to dress up and wear makeup, wear eyeshadow, and it could be anything. And I feel like media tends to always portray it as that one cliche, and I 100%. Think we need to start moving away from that.
100%.
Because that's how you create little discrimination within the community, because then everybody strives to be that ideal gay guy that gets all the attention.
100%.
And it's
And to any young person of color watching, what do you want to say to them?
I would say life is scary. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be so worth it. And I think they automatically know what I'm talking about.
Cool.
Wow.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on here and flying in for New York just for this. But no, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's going to impact so many people. And I'm grateful that I finally get to meet you.
I know. It's been about time.
Thank you, mate.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Peace.
I just want to say a massive thank you to Aman for coming on here and sharing his story. I think it's going to impact so many amazing people. I'm truly grateful for his vulnerability and opening up about his past. And thank you for watching and following us along on this journey. I really appreciate you guys and all the support that you have brought. Now, tune back in next week for a brand new episode with Quear Style. All right, thank you again, guys, and ciao for now.